Welcome to Youth Voices of Greater Cincinnati. My name is Raynell Oglesby and I'm an 8th grader here at Norwood Middle School. My two partners are,
Jack Tallman
and William Gotson.
and today we have a very special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, gentlemen. My name is Staff Sergeant McCraney. I am a Marine Corps recruiter stationed here in Cincinnati.
Around what age were you when you joined the Marines?
When I decided to join the Marine Corps, I was 19 when I decided to join. And I took a year off out of high school, so I was kind of like, hey, I don't quite know what I want to do. And it just sat down with the recruiter, and it was something I ended up wanting to do. What are your guys' plans for high school? What are you looking to do?
I kind of myself want to join the armed forces because my father, he was in them.
Okay.
And after that, I'd like to try and get in maybe the CIA or something like that.
Okay. That's awesome.
Possible.
What about yourself?
I wanted to go to Scarlet Oak so I could try to be robotics engineering, but if that doesn't end out working, I was maybe going to join the Navy.
Okay. Okay.
After high school, I want to go to college and become an archaeologist.
That's awesome.
So what inspired you to join the armed forces?
So growing up, my parents were both in the military, and it was always in the back of my mind. My mom, although she served, she was not, at first, not very supportive. She wanted me to go to college, pursue that route. And like I said, I took the necessary steps and made my decision and ended up joining. So I would say it's kind of that family history, I would say, is what inspired me.
What do you think you'll be doing after you decide to leave the military?
Oh, what will I do? So my plan, I would actually like to open up a jazz club. I love music, so it's something that has always been in the back of my mind, even next to the military. So it's definitely something I think I'm gonna end up pursuing. What about you guys? What kind of music do you listen to?
Me personally, I don't listen to music.
Okay, you don't listen to music. Why not?
I don't know. I just don't like it.
Okay, that's fair. You, sir?
I like listening to jazz and pop music, and I also play a baritone.
I play baritone, saxophone, or?
No, it's just a baritone.
Oh, okay.
It's like a tuba but smaller.
Oh, horns. I was in band as well, so okay.
What instrument did you play?
Saxophone, alto. Yep.
Who inspired you to like jazz? Have you always liked jazz? Or?
My grandfather. So my grandfather played. He was self-taught, and he's always played on the piano. And just growing up, listening to music, and that, I guess, love of music kind of just trickled down. I mean, I was never that good as far as instrument-wise, but the love for it is definitely there.
If you did have a jazz band, do you have any ideas for people that would be in it?
No, I think my ideas is just to build something that the community, something that allows young musicians to get their music out there. Because a lot of times it's, hey, who do you know? And you got to know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody in order to get known. I think my biggest draw is I want to make a place where young guys and gals who are gifted can express themselves, musically, and, get their voices out there, get their music out there.
What do you do in the military? Are you part of a specific unit or?
So my job, I'm a recruiter now, obviously. But once I'm done with recruiting, I'll go back and I'm a airframes mechanic. So I work on, it's called the MV-22 Osprey. It's a helicopter plane thing. It flies, and it's an awesome aircraft. But that's what I do.
Some military branches, they have colleges, like the Navy has a college to the Marines have a college you went to?
So
Like
for, I'm guessing you're talking about the Naval Academy?
Yeah, to learn how to work on the Osprey and stuff like that.
Okay, so with your question, there's a couple different routes, but as far as like learning to be a mechanic, you'll actually go to a technical school. So it's almost like a college because you'll receive college credits for going to it, but it's not an official college if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So do you have to get an education or go to that college and learn more to get the different position?
When you decide like, hey, I want to join the military and I want to pursue this route, you'll pick a job. So you'll pick a specific job field that you want to go into. And what will happen is you'll get sent to a school to actually get trained on it. So a lot of times it's more about your interest, really, because we will teach you how to do whatever job that you decide to do.
Can you tell us about your rank and what it means?
So I am a staff sergeant in the Marine Corps, so an E6. Basically, I am now part of the senior enlisted, so my job essentially is to be in charge of Marines under me and kind of be a mentor. I deal less with the actual work now, as far as I don't actually work on the aircraft as often as I would like to, but I deal more with the administrative side as far as making rosters, making sure people are where they need to be, and it's more, I guess, logistics now. So I'm a little bit unhappy about that because I'm a hands-on person. I like working on stuff, so it just comes with, picking up rank in that progression.
What's the highest rank a person can get?
As far as the enlisted side, the highest rank you can go is Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. So he is the top enlisted advisor. He advises the Commandant, which is our highest officer as far as the Marines go.
You're a mechanic, you said. Have you, on the Osprey, have you ever had a chance to fly one yourself?
So flying, the actual flying of the aircraft, that is done by officers. So as an enlisted, I do not actually fly the aircraft, but I can become what's called an aerial observer, and pretty much I get to fly when the aircraft goes out, and you're pretty much in charge of everything that goes on in the inside of the aircraft because we transport troops and cargo, so you're literally responsible for making sure the aircraft's loaded properly and troops are taken care of as far as in the back of the aircraft. Do you enjoy flying?
I've flown once, and that was on a regular plane.
Okay.
But I really did enjoy it, though.
Okay.
What kind of other positions can you be in the Marines?
What do you mean by that?
So, you said you were an engineer. What other things could you be instead of an engineer?
Okay. So, just to make sure I'm understanding your question, you're talking about like jobs. What other jobs do we
Yes.
have? Okay. So, in regards to the Marine Corps, we have the same jobs as the other branches. The only difference is we don't have large ships. That would be the Navy, and we don't have a direct medical program. So like if you were like, hey, I want to be a nurse, joining the Marines is not you can still pursue that goal if that is your goal, but we don't have an actual nurse job in that sense. But other than that, anything you can think of, man. Like you said, robotics, we have guys who work on UAVs, so there's a lot of engineering type jobs that we offer. Computers, tanks, planes, trucks, anything and everything, man.
How come there's no nurse job in the Marines?
Because we are a department of the Navy, and most of our medical is handled by the Navy. although we do have things such as combat lifesaver, so you will have some medical training. It's just we don't have like corpsmen like the Navy would have. So
You mentioned you were the Department of the Navy. How much does that affect what the Marines and you do?
Not much.
Not much.
No, so we are a Department of the Navy, but we also, that's why we have our own commandant. So he, in regards to, I guess, politics, he would be the one that handles that echelon of, stuff.
Besides the military or owning your own jazz club, what would you be doing now? What do you think you'd be doing?
That's a good question. I'm probably working out, probably riding my motorcycle. Well, it's kind of too cold for that, but once it warms up, riding my motorcycle. I'm pretty much like doing the same things you guys probably like doing. I'm sure there's really not too much difference between my likes and your guys' likes. I mean, what do you like doing?
Anything? Really up to anything.
Okay. What about you?
I mainly like to play games.
Do you play a lot of Fortnite?
No.
Oh, thank you. I was a little worried there. Ugh,
I
Fortnite.
prefer indie games.
Okay. So like Shovel Knight.
Yeah, it's like that.
Okay.
And, The Binding of Isaac.
Okay. Okay. What about yourself?
I like playing video games too. I do not like Fortnite, but I like PUBG and stuff like that.
Okay.
And any RPG style game.
Okay. That's awesome.
So, what are some of the benefits that you can have being in the Marines?
There are a lot of benefits of being in the Marine Corps. So we can start with education. While you're in, you can have college paid for. So you can go to college while you're in. And pretty much for you, all you have to do is just make sure you maintain a C average in the classes that you take. And you will not have to pay any of the money back as long as, like I said, you maintain that average. Then when you get out, you'll have access to what we call a post 9/11 GI Bill. It's essentially a way for your college to be paid for. The military will also pay you a monthly, almost like a salary to go to school, just for you to live off of and pay for books. So not only is your like education covered, but then you have a little bit of money as far as like, hey, this is where I'm going to live, or this is, to pay for food or pay for your books. Also, while you're in, health, medical. So if you went out, broke your toe, or you stubbed your toe, or something were to happen, that's going to be covered. And then dental. I mean, not a lot of people think about their teeth, but teeth are very important. You got to have those good smiles and everything. So that is 100% covered while you're in. And then once you get out, there are programs that are available that will also help cover that cost. Let's see. And then experience. So with the formal schools that you go to, like you guys mentioned before, you can get college credit for those. So you'll get a SMART transcript, and on that transcript, it'll have every school, every kind of course that you've completed, and you'll actually possibly receive college credits for those classes. So those are just a few of the benefits. There's a whole lot more, but those are just the basic ones.
When you get out of the Marines, would you still get the benefit of having college paid for, or would you have to pay for it yourself?
So the post 9/11 GI Bill, that is something that a lot of people utilize after they get out. So yes, I will have access to that and be able to utilize that. Although people like myself who decide, hey, maybe if this is something I want to do as a career, a lot of us go to college while we're in. And then once you hit a certain amount of years, I can actually take that GI Bill and have it transferred over to my children or my wife, and then she can go to college for free, or my kids can. So it's something that is very versatile and something that you can utilize.
What is some advice that you can give people who want to join the military?
Advice. One, don't be afraid to talk to a recruiter. All right, we're here to give you information. That is part of our job. A lot of people think the military. I like to tell people, think of the military and you sitting down with a recruiter like looking at a college. You know, you go in, you explore the campus, and you're like, hey, this is something I want to do, or this is a college I want to attend. That's all we do. We're here to give you the information. It's really up to you to make that decision to move forward. The second thing is do your research. A lot of the branches are very unique. The Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Coast Guard, the Marine Corps, we're all different. So sometimes it's just a matter of you figuring out what's the best fit. But I think for me, my biggest one is, like I said, don't be afraid to talk to us. We're friendly. We don't bite. So, hey, if you have any questions, ask. We're here to give you information.
When you were a mechanic, were you ever deployed into another country?
Yes, sir. So in 2015, I deployed on a ship, and we went to different ports. I got to visit a few different countries to include, I've been to Hong Kong, I've been to Thailand, I've been to Israel, I've gotten to go to Djibouti in Africa, I've gotten to go to a whole bunch of places. It's a lot. Have you ever visited any other countries?
Myself, I have not, but my father, when he was in the Marines,
Okay.
he said that he's visited Tokyo and Japan
Okay.
multiple times. And Okinawa, that's where he went to boot camp at.
Okay.
Did you go to boot camp in the States?
So for us, boot camp is either Paris Island or San Diego. But I believe your father probably was stationed there in Okinawa. So that's pretty awesome. I was stationed there too. So it was definitely an awesome. I enjoyed it. It was awesome there. Food is good too.
Was that your only deployment?
Yes, that has been my only deployment till now. So hopefully after I get done with this, I'll be able to go on a few more.
So you know the government shutdown, yes?
Yes, sir.
So has it affected any of the branches' paychecks? Like, has there ever been a time when they didn't get paid?
So in regards to the government shutdown, to my knowledge, it has not affected the military in the sense of people getting paid. In regards to us being able to, so if I was a maintainer and we're trying to work on an aircraft and we need to order parts, we might not necessarily get that part as quickly because, we don't have the funding to buy that part. Now, in regards to pay, not so much just because people need to feed their families and stuff. So in that aspect, no, it has not affected people as far as pay is concerned, being able to provide for their families.
When you said you were deployed in Hong Kong and
Yes, sir.
other places, when is the longest that you have been away from the States?
When I was stationed in Okinawa, I was there for 2 years. When I deployed in 2015, I was 11 months.
Did you have maybe a girlfriend or a partner while you were there?
No. I mean, I had a girlfriend when I was stationed in Okinawa, but other than that, no, sir.
So what's been the most fun you've had in the Marines?
Honestly, I've had too much fun. Really, I've honestly enjoyed my career up to this point. There's been a lot of times where it's been there have been some uncomfortable situations. I mean, I've had different training evolutions where it's like, we're out here, it's raining, it's not that fun. But at the end of the day, those memories that you make when you look back on them, those are like, hey, it wasn't that bad. It was actually pretty fun. So I can't really pinpoint an actual specific time, but I've enjoyed it. I'd do it all over again if I could.
Boot camp, what was that like for you?
Ooh, boot camp. So the Marine Corps, our boot camp is the longest. It's 13 weeks. It is the toughest, and that is more so because it's mentally tough. The physical part is it's not so bad just because have you guys played sports? I mean PE, there we go. PE class and stuff. So like when you guys start doing something, you're like, hey, this might be hard, but the more you do that, it actually gets easier, you know? So that's kind of how it is in boot camp for the physical side. Um, we start you out, yes, it may seem difficult, but it's attainable. So you may have to run a mile and a half, but up until that point, that's what you've been training to do. And then eventually that mile and a half turns into 3 miles. So anything that we do training wise, we kind of build up to that final event, if you want to call it, but it's not something we're going to just take you and be like, hey man, go out there, run 3 miles. And we expect you to be like extremely successful at it. A lot of times it takes training, but with us, the hardest part of boot camp is probably the mental toughness, and more so because a lot of times this is the first time young men and women like yourselves that have been away from home. You're not allowed to use your cell phone. So as far as communication with your parents or girlfriend or, friends is writing them a letter. And sometimes that's hard for people. And it really just comes down to staying, I guess, mentally tough and realizing that, hey, I'm uncomfortable, but it's not the end of the world, I guess.
How long does boot camp last?
13 weeks, sir. 13 weeks.
Do you have any brothers or sisters that were in the armed forces?
I do not. I do have a younger sister, but she did not join. She's currently, working, figuring out what she wants to do. Do you guys have siblings?
8.
8? Ooh. Which one are you?
I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest, so you get everything. It's awesome. I wish I was the youngest.
I have one older sister.
Okay. Is she a student here or at the high school?
She's a student in the high school.
Okay. That's awesome.
I have an older sister's in college, 11-year-old brother, and a 2-year-old brother.
Okay. What college does your sister go to?
NKU.
NKU? Okay. That's a good school.
You mentioned earlier that your parents were in the armed forces. Were they in the Marines also?
No. No. My mom was Army.
Did she affect your decision? Like, why did you choose the Marines over the Army?
No. So my mother was she was the one who told me, hey, if you're going to join the military, talk to all the recruiters and weigh your options as far as the branches. And for me, the reason why I picked the Marine Corps was one, is the challenge. As most people know, the Marine Corps, we are the hardest branch. We have the hardest boot camp. And for me, I was just like, I don't know if I can do this, but I want to try. And going back to a previous question where you said, what kind of advice? Don't be afraid to try. A lot of the kids are like, hey, I want to join the military, but maybe not the Marine Corps because they're like, hey, they're tough. And my thing is, why not try? I mean, we tell everybody shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you'll land among the stars. I think that's how it goes. But hey, try. Maybe you surprise yourself, and then you'll be here like myself, sitting in a chair, getting interviewed, and then be like, hey, I never thought I would be doing this.
What's the biggest branch?
I believe it's the Army. Don't quote me on it, but I believe it's the Army.
Do you know roughly how many people are in there?
Millions. Millions. I
feel like everyone chooses the Army.
A lot of people choose the Army. Like I said, Marines were the smallest branch, and I think for a lot of people, it's just the fact that we have the toughest boot camp. That a lot of people, again, it comes down to trying. A lot of people don't want to try, but that's again what makes us unique, is because we are the few that decided, hey, let me try this and see where it goes.
You mentioned earlier before we started the talk show you grew up or lived in Florida, how do you feel about the difference from Florida, like the weather, the people, all the way up here in Ohio?
Okay, so let's see. It's kind of a long story, but so Florida is the longest like I've lived in one place. So my parents were military, so we moved around a lot, and I got to Florida in 2002. So it's like home, but Florida, Cincinnati, it's different because like with Cincinnati you have small communities within a bigger community in a sense, and that's I think what makes it unique. Everybody knows everybody in a sense, so most people from the Norwood area know everybody in Norwood. Same thing with like Deer Park and Reading, and I feel like that's what makes you guys unique, and it's special. It's kind of it makes it hard in the sense of recruiting wise because then it's okay. You're not only dealing with one person's mindset, but then it's kind of like the community's mindset. So if there's a bad, whether it's the recruiter before me or somebody had a family member who didn't necessarily have a great experience in the military, sometimes that can affect recruiting. But all in all, like it's been a pretty positive as far as feedback and stuff. So, but I think that's the biggest difference between Florida and here. It's just the fact that you guys are a lot closer. It seems like.
I've got one last personal question for you.
All right.
You said earlier you play the saxophone.
Yes.
So did you ever were you ever in the marching band?
I was in the marching band my freshman year. The band director was not very lenient when it came to, I had some family situations going on at the time, and he was like, well, you need to be here. And I was like, well, unfortunately, I can't make it to those events. And so that just kind of, my interest in marching band kind of diminished. But speaking of the band, so the Marine Corps, we have a band. You have the President's Own, which is the band that plays specifically for the president. But I guess little known fact, you can join the Marine Corps and play in the band, and that's your job. You have an audition process. It's something that you will have to audition for, but at the end of the day, you can be a Marine and play in the band and be able to travel. So it's definitely a unique opportunity. A lot of people don't know that. They're like, oh, Marines are one thing, but we do have, again, like I said, a variety of jobs and things you can do.
You mentioned that there's an audition process. To do that, would you still have to go to boot camp?
Yes, unless you are good enough to get into the President's Own. If you can get into the President's Own, you don't go to boot camp. You just go straight to Washington, D.C., and start playing with them. And you come in as a staff sergeant, so you're making a pretty good paycheck right off the bat.
Well, there's obviously ways to fail auditioning, but what about boot camp? Like, one, failing boot camp, and another question, getting kicked out of the Marines after already.
Okay, so boot camp. The purpose of boot camp is when you leave from, say, all of you joined and you're all going to boot camp. The goal is for you guys to graduate. Yes, boot camp is tough, but it is not the drill instructor, the guys who are in charge of you down at boot camp. It's not their job to fail you. It's their job to make Marines, and they will help you as long as you don't give up on yourself. Now, in some circumstances, whether that is, hey, you're not a very good swimmer and you fail swim qual, or you don't quite qualify as far as the rifle range, you may get recycled, meaning you'll go back a week and get dropped to another platoon. But ultimately, the goal is for you to graduate. There are circumstances where, say, you get injured, or say you're like, in the worst case scenario, you refuse to train, you will be sent back home. But in regards to that, like I said, the goal is for you to graduate. As long as you don't give up on yourself, you will graduate. Now, in regards to once you're in the Marine Corps, it comes down to just staying out of trouble, really. As long as you stay out of trouble, there should be no reason why you should get kicked out. In the event that something does happen, say medically, you know, you get injured, you can't still perform your duty, you'll get the government has things set up to where you'll be taken care of after you get out.
Boot camp, right? They train you to shoot weapons there, right?
Yes, sir.
What was the most powerful weapon or most fun with a weapon you'd say you've had?
Ooh, so as far as boot camp, you get trained on the it's an M16A4 service rifle. So I'm not sure if you guys know what an AR-15 is.
I know what an M16A4.
I mean,
3-round burst.
Yeah, Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Call of Duty is probably the best way to explain it. But so you do get trained to shoot that. We also have what is called Marine Combat Training, and you'll get to shoot different machine guns that we shot. But as far as myself, I'd say the funnest thing that I've shot is a Sasser, which is a sniper rifle. That was pretty fun. We were shooting at a target about, I'd say, 800-900 meters out, so that was pretty fun.
Did you hit the shot?
Of course. I am an expert shot, so I can shoot.
So if you ever get injured during boot camp, when you're done recovering, are you allowed to go back into boot camp?
So if you get injured in boot camp, you'll be put in a medical rehabilitation platoon, and that's until you're ready to go back into training, and then normally you'll get stuck back where you were dropped from. So say you were dropped before you got injured before like firing week, you'll go back in with a platoon that is getting ready to do firing week once you're medically given the A-OK.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
This has been Youth Voices of Greater Cincinnati. Thank you for tuning in.